Hello, hello, hello. We are just getting started on the Crowdcast platform. Well, let's just get started. What is going on? You are watching and, of course, listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we're here every Wednesday night on the Crowdcast platform. I am your host, Stevie V. Alongside, back in business with me this week, Kodi, Maurice, Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. I'm glad to be back. I missed last week, but I'm back in rare form. So good luck to
Absolutely. Just
everybody.
double check that your mic is on the right channel. Is it?
It looks right. Maybe I
Okay.
just need to push it
That
closer
sounds
to
good.
my.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I sound
Okay.
okay?
Yep. You sound great.
Okay, good. Hello, hello, hello. We are live on this Wednesday night. I see Doug, James, Durand, Diego, I think, is somewhere in the mix, and we have a lot to get into. Well, we just want to get into this is episode 700. Woohoo! Episode 700, if you can believe it. That's crazy,
We're
Kodi.
700 years old. Oh my
We're
goodness.
700, and I was just thinking, what does that even mean? The only thing I could think of was the 700 Club, which was like this old Christian talk show back in the day that we have nothing to do with. But
Mm,
I wanted to
we're
get
the
into.
anti 700 club, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. 100%. Well, I wanted to get into our first discussion on sex talk, and it was really a continuation from what we talked about in episode 699 with Sebastian Lacaze. We were talking about sex magic. If you haven't listened to it real quick, just to give you a brief, sex magic isn't has nothing to do with hocus pocus or pulling a rabbit out of a hat. It actually has to do with harnessing sexual energy through concerted efforts, grounding yourself, think meditation, and really asking for what you want. You can do it for all things. A lot of sex magic is really powerful for looking at root causes of our queer, gay trauma that many of us have experienced throughout the years and centering us. And it's super powerful and has more to do with just the organs of the penis, the ass. It's actually much grander. And think things like Tantra. Anyways, we really break it down and have a deep dive conversation on episode 699. So I'm not going to relitigate in a nutshell here, but I wanted to pick up where we left off. And one of the areas that we left off was, what does it really mean when I really believe that we can combine sex magic on a daily basis with being sexually active and enjoying sex on this, like we talk about every day on this show. And one of the things that I wanted to start with was when you feel like maybe you're giving sex away or our porn consumption. And let's just start with that, Kodi, because I have been in the past where my porn consumption has been a lot greater than other times. And it can really detract and take away from the actual experience of sex or just being present. And I wanted to know what you thought about that. I'll discuss more on what I meant by that. But how do you notice porn consumption affect, say, how you view sex or how you approach sex?
Well, there was a time definitely when I was binging and imbibing in porn a little bit more, and I feel like that in and of itself has allowed me to become a little bit desensitized. After that was before I was in my relationship, but since then, I have. I mean, I'm watching porn more, but I think I'm just having more and more sex. So I think that when you are watching a lot of porn, and I think I was even addicted to porn, I had to take a complete and utter break because I became really, I guess, detached from regular sex in my own body. I feel like so I completely understand the angles on sex magic, and I think that it's really good for being in connection with yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And one of the things when you work for yourself, I work for myself, and I don't go into an office. There's not like a ton of people around me throughout the day. And it is easier to just jump onto porn. But I was sharing on episode 699 that I start my day off with a morning meditation now, a directive on how I want my day to go and who I want to connect with. And you'll hear more about that on that episode. But it is a real powerful tool. But one of the things that is really easy, as what you're talking about, is if you work from home, many people that started working from home via the pandemic, it's that much easier to get on porn sites and kind of make your day about that. Well, what does that ultimately do? And it can desensitize you and dictate what you expect to see in your sex lives. And it can be unrealistic because what you see, whether it's an OnlyFans model or a porn scene, isn't necessarily what you're going to experience in real life. And we by no means are saying we're going to about to do a hot topic on the limiting of porn. We're not saying that at all, because porn in healthy consumptions can be really a healthy tool. But
Definitely.
that is one of the
It taught
reasons.
me so much watching porn,
Yeah,
honestly.
right, exactly. But one of those things that, I think can lead you to sex magic, the harnessing of sexual energy, the power of sexual energy that we really deep dived in episode 699, was that it can heal, because at the root of it, there's tremendous power when you meditate and you're using touch for yourself to find out more areas on your body's surface that have
Mhm.
sensitivity. And when you're breathing and centering yourself, you are not being fake and phony and being exterior as a quote unquote people pleaser, but you're actually grounding yourself. When you do that and you really put a directive to what you might be dealing with, and I used an example on that episode of, perhaps I'll let you listen to it, but like, how come sometimes I get angry in an argument with my partner? And I use the example, when I deep dived into it, it had to really do with rejection, which nobody likes. But rejection can come in all different facets. And sex magic, sexual healing can begin to repair some of that, so that you can really repair some of that old trauma that many of us queer men have. But then you can also experience the tremendous amount of energy that is abundant in your sexual energy that I don't think many of us have really tapped into.
Yeah, and that really is intriguing to me because I agree that there's untapped potential and energy within you. So I can only imagine how this is going to benefit everyone out there when we actually get to tap into it and see where it can lead us. So it's really exciting to me. I was so glad we had a good talk and just discussion about it, and I can't wait to explore it more.
Yeah, and one last thing I wanted to say with it, as I think you can combine, and I said this earlier in this episode, sex magic, your own personal journey with your exploration of your sexuality, and have fun at the same time. Those two don't have to be mutually exclusive. You can actually combine the two, and you can really do it as well with partners as well. I mentioned it briefly on the episode, but I've done some really great work in groups with Finn Deerhart, with Will Tantra of Tantric Fitness, where you do this as a whole group. But as for couples, it can be really powerful and reconnect you. So couples that are really feeling disconnected can really do these meditative processes together. Think of it as a new age date night. What a lot of it
Oh,
is really just meditative and setting intentions and using the power of touch. So these are
love it.
things that really come up, and we welcome those discussions. But I wanted to kind of wrap that conversation up a little bit more. But we're going to have Sebastian Lacaze back on the show more
I
to
can't wait.
discuss this. Yeah, that's really cool. Okay, well, let's continue sex talk more. And what are we talking about? We really wanted to deep dive into something that came up on a recent article, where they were asking the question, they were asking the gays, reveal your biggest kinks. Everything from men in suits, I can think of uniforms for Diego, because that's one of his kinks. We can't drive by a police officer or fireman without like, oh, golden showers and so forth are a lot of people's. I'll read a few, we'll discuss. And they did this on Queerty recently, talking about,
Okay.
stop laughing over there, what are your favorite kinks? And I mentioned a lot of them, but jock straps are a lot of them. Obviously, the obvious things like feet, spanking, because somebody said, I love seeing a guy squirm and hear the sound of whatever I'm spanking him with land across his ever brightening red bum. Somebody said, I like to be fucked super hard and then beg him to keep going, says Jack in
Oh, wow.
Toronto.
That sounds like a
Patrick,
Thursday night to me.
okay, come on. Patrick in Tennessee said leather is just plain sexy. That's his kink. And I
Yeah.
would agree. That's for years and years been my pleasure. Just wearing it in general, kink fashion, all of that is really big. Somebody said nipple rings are a hot turn on. Anything
Oh.
pierced, not so much. And what I would add to that, Matt from Arizona, is nipples in general. People forget about the nipples. And I know a lot of people say, oh, mine are not sensitive. But actually, if you see, I was recently in a dark room. You were there at the same spot. Shout out to, what was the bar in Hell's Kitchen? They have a dark room downstairs, Boxers.
Yes.
And when somebody is going down on you and somebody sees what's going on, somebody often will come on the side of you and start licking or playing with your nipples. That can be
Oh
so hot,
my.
even if you're not into nipples. I'm really find that a hot turn on. That would be one of my others. I've said feet before, but definitely that for sure. What are some of your kinks? What resonates with you? We want to hear from you, live audience. What are some of your
Definitely.
kinks that we've either mentioned or you haven't heard yet?
For me, I know you said jock straps, but underwear in general. I know that I think that stems from me walking down the underwear aisle when I was a kid and seeing all the hot guys on the covers of the boxes. So yeah, I think that that is one. I
I
think
was going to say
public
the
sex,
Sears catalog for my
the Sears,
generation.
the Sears Cat International
It
Jock
was
or
this thick,
International
the Sears
Male,
catalog back in the day.
full of underwear men. I love that for
No,
us.
but when you got to that point, it was just like, oh my gosh. And those pages were glued and stuck together after I was done with them.
Hey, you know what? And it's a telling thing for your
Yeah,
parents, but which ones were stuck together. But I'm really into public sex. I think that's a big one for me that we didn't touch on yet.
that's a
I like
good
to have
one.
I know, right? I like to have people watch. I think I'm an exhibitionist to some extent. So I think that that's super hot. And cruising is another big one for me too. So I have a lot of kinks. I think that they are all wonderful. I love myself and I love being able to explore and learn about new kinks because we talked about golden showers the other day too,
Yeah.
and that's a big one. And I've been exploring that more and more. So we'll see where it goes. What about
And
you?
one tip and suggestion that I can give that has really worked with me is to share and be open to sharing a lot of my kinks. Obviously, we do it on this show every
Yeah.
week, but I didn't always grow up with that confidence to be able to share that. In fact, most kinks, for I would argue, we live with a lot of shame. We're scared to admit what they are, even to ourselves. We're scared to definitely admit them to anybody else. And I think an open dialogue about this stuff, that's why I love Queerty for doing this. That's why we talk about it on this show. I have several friends, you included, that I've shared. I've gotten one of my friends to, after I've shared many of my kinks, has really garnered him to share similar. We share some of the, for some reason, one of my dear friends has some of the same kinks as I. Just by me sharing has allowed him and given him permission to not only acknowledge his kinks, but to tell me. And now we have this whole thing when we see each other. He's like, oh, I got to tell you, Steve, there's this, I did this exploration of this kink. And it's like that wall of shame is just dropped by sharing your kinks with a
I
fellow
love it.
friend. And I think we need more of that. It's really healthy. And just dropping those shames. And I think a lot of us gay men have more kinks than maybe a lot of our heterosexual counterparts, is because we had to sexualize sex throughout the years growing up, because we couldn't just live a what quote unquote normal sex life that we saw on TV. So we created a lot of these kinks out of fear fantasy. And that's why, but now we should be able to express that we really like them. So I think it's really
Yeah.
healthy. We are live, and Doug says feet, nipples, jock streeps, and outdoor sex are at the top of his list. James watching us live. Hi, James, says the J.C. Penney catalog for me. Yeah, I said Sears, maybe J.C. Penney's. Weren't they kind of counter competitors
Their
at the
competition. Yeah.
time? And then I feel like the gays got a little bit smarter. And you mentioned it earlier, the catalog. What was it called?
International
International
Jock.
Mail.
Oh, she did it for me,
International
honey. I
Jock,
loved it.
yeah, International Mail, where the more modern version of all these things. But
You call me old
yeah,
girl?
I'm not calling
I'm
you
just joking.
old.
I'm
I mean,
just
I said
joking.
Sears, so come on. Which
Well,
I
we do
don't
have a
think you.
poll.
Oh, let's bring
Yeah.
our first poll question.
And now I changed it because we were having such an incredible discussion. And I changed it to do you share your kinks? And the first option is yes, it's part of our culture and community. And the second option is no, their kinks are private. So I'm gonna make it
That's a
visible for everyone
really
right now.
good. Yeah, and like I said, I want to just go back to that example of my friend who I started sharing with him,
Hmm.
because doing this show, I would throw these parties that were kink centric. I've talked
Hmm.
about it on this show before. I would do this Christmas party called XXXmas Party, where I was in
Okay.
the promos were me in a Santa hat, but of course my ass was out, and I encourage everybody not to wear an ugly sweater, but to wear a jock strap or a leather harness of some sort. And we got so many people coming in, and everybody was so refreshed to see something different than an ugly sweater contest. And I offered demos on the bullwhip. Of course, I was the one
Oh,
being demoed on, but in the back of my apartment, I had put up a whole sling, but mostly we had people bending over the sling and getting flogged by an expert flogger. Many people had never done that before. They were like, ooh, at first, but after a few cocktails, honey, they really got into it. And I think that's what we really need to do, is start removing that shame. And the first
yeah.
way you can do that is by removing those barriers to tell a friend what you are into. Start with that. That's my biggest tip. If you can just start admitting to yourself what your kinks are and what you're, deep dive into some of those things. And then when you can handle that, start talking to a fellow friend. And if you don't have those friends, it's time to start harnessing those friends, because they will
That's
not judge
right.
you, and you will see it's almost like adult play talk. It's so much fun to be able to share with a friend what you're into and realize they are not judging you. They are there to support you. And all those walls just come tumbling down. It's
It
beautiful.
builds connection. It builds community, like we said, and I think that's the greatest thing. That's like kind of the theme of this part of the show right now, is building community and building connections with people. So I love this.
Perfectly stated. Malibu watching us live says the fastest way to keep your shame alive is to pretend it's not there. Absolutely. You can almost have an out of body experience when you do that and just like put it out there and don't worry about what the other person is going to think. And chances are it will be received and embraced and will ignite them to want to share their kink as well. I love this. Share with us, take your poll. Once again, what is the poll before we move on to our next topic of sex talk?
Do you share your kinks? Yes, is the first option. It's a part of our culture and community. Or no, kinks are private.
Love it. Vote along the way. We will report. But keep in mind, if you're listening to this when this show drops, episode 700, y'all, you can take the poll because it will be over on our Tags Patreon community. Simply go to patreon.com/Tags Podcast. And if you feel like grabbing a paid tier, we really appreciate it. It really helps us out. Okay. We had to talk about this because there is the tale of an awkward Eiffel Tower gone wrong. Eiffel Tower is not Paris here in this case. It was a
Girl.
TikToker that was talking about, he goes by Jeff at Jeff.4. And he posts like a lot of TikTok videos about his experiences, not all about sex. He was
Mhm.
telling the story of having a couple. He was going to be the third. He really does a good deep dive, I feel, on. Do you heard the whole TikTok? I'll
Oh
post this
yeah,
on
it was
TAGSPodcast.
juicy. I couldn't stop watching. So
Yeah, I think one of the things that he was really honest about, and storytelling is one of the lost arts, and a good storyteller is engaging. I will post his TikTok because you got to watch the way he engages you and pulls you in. Essentially, I'll try and do a good job explaining what he was saying. He
okay.
wanted to hook up. He saw this couple. He invited them to his place. He knew it was a couple. He thought when they arrived that they were not as attractive as their picture showed. And he mentioned that in the picture, but he thought, okay, they weren't ugly. And hey, they're here. Let's have a good time. He goes on to say that the three of them start to have a good time. But one of the partners, in the midst of all of that, is vibing a little bit more than the other partner. And
Ooh.
it starts to become noticeable. Hence, what I discussed at the previous Eiffel Tower. His dick was not responding anymore. And he gave it a minute, but then ultimately it just was not responding. And it started to become noticeable. And he called the guy out, not in a attacking way, but just to say, hey, are you good? What's going
It was really
on?
kind and nurturing way. I feel like he did it. So that's what you're
Yeah,
supposed to do.
from what, according to his story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. True.
the other guy said, no, I'm good. But ultimately, it wasn't happening. So ultimately, that person, the Eiffel Tower guy who wasn't producing the Eiffel Tower, walked away into another room. And the other guy said, okay, fine. And so, by the way, the guy that wasn't producing his hard on told his lover,
Boy.
boyfriend, go on and
Mhm.
continue. In which case, the boyfriend was like, yeah, great. And the one telling the story basically said, yeah, we were vibing, and they continued. But he couldn't help but think, how awkward is this? And he ultimately had a cautionary note to couples that are going to invite a third over: get your shit together, have these talks before, because don't make an awkward situation worse. Because ultimately, this guy left, the one telling the story, and kind of felt bad about the situation. And he
Yeah.
knew, according to him, that they were going to have a whole discussion, potentially an argument. And it was a cautionary tale, in his words, to couples that when you're going to play with the third, get your shit together. Don't have this awkward moment happen. Well, all I
Yeah.
got to say is, I've been in that moment on the couple side of it. I've been in on the other side. Have a little grace for a couple, because you may have talked about this, but things can still pop up and arise. And yes, you are the guest star, but it's not
Not the
that
dick.
serious. I've been in this situation before where I was the one where I told my person to go ahead and still have fun,
Mhm.
because I wasn't feeling the vibe. It wasn't happening for me, but I wanted them to continue. I was a little bit upset. We did deal with it. It wasn't a blow up argument, but we dealt with it. But things happen sometimes, even when you do talk about play like that. What do you say to this, and what he was putting out there on TikTok, and his warning to couples, as I like to
Well,
call
I
it?
agree with you. I agree with you. I think that no matter how much you talk about it, you can
Yeah.
never be prepared for the real thing. And when you're
Yeah.
in that situation and
Yeah.
you're seeing, you know what? I'm going to talk about this right now. I wasn't going to say this, but there, there is somebody that I've been on a couple dates with here or there, and they want to listen to the show. They're very interested in me. They want to listen to the show, and I think this applies here. They listen to it. I talk a lot about sex. I talk a lot about what I'm doing. I'm doing a lot right now. I'm doing the most. So
You were living your
here it
best life with all of this moment, which is
is.
good, which is what we
Yeah.
talked about. I mean, just to give people, if you're new to the show, you went through a breakup, but it's now been over a year,
No.
yes?
So okay, we're gonna talk about this a different time, but for me, it's been since March because there's other things that transpired
Okay,
after that.
got it.
Okay,
But
so
and just to give you a little more context, in since March, because I hung out with you and depressed about this, like, which
oh, girl, I've been
yeah,
going
but we
through it,
all are
girl.
when
Listening to sad songs and crying.
but what I've been really proud of you in this summer is you've had Hot Girl Summer and
Oh my God, it's been
really
so
put your
amazing.
energy, it's been really refreshing, into your
Thank
work
you.
and your
I am almost
music.
done.
And yeah, which is really exciting. And then
I
on
am
top,
so excited.
but also into meeting and just having a good time. And if that meant with men, that's been really refreshing to see. And it's been noticeable. And so,
Thank
yeah,
you.
just to give you a little context in case you're like, wait, what? But yeah.
Wait, what? Yeah, I appreciate that, but he wanted to. I've just become ready to go on any dates. I don't think I'm looking for anything necessarily serious in this moment, but I am ready to go out and have a good time with guys and connect with people on the same level. I always let them know what's going on. But this particular gentleman, he was very excited to listen to a podcast talk about gay sex, and he listened to it. And I saw him
I know.
today, and he
It's
was
always
like,
like the little, like,
we had a whole discussion. I was like, I talked to you. We talk about sex. We talk about our experiences with sex. But I think that once he got into it and he started to listen to me and all the shenanigans that I'm going through it right now, and he was like, you know what? I'm not prepared for this. I don't necessarily want to envision that. Is it okay if
and
I
that's
don't
his
listen to the
right. And that's
podcast?
great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
So
we have another co-host, Jeremy Ross Lopez, who he met his boyfriend via the
this
podcast because the
podcast, yeah.
boyfriend listened to the show and DM'd him several times. And Jeremy was like, no, no, no. And I don't know about this. And finally gave him
So
a
cute.
chance. And now they've been together like almost 2 years now, which is really so. Yeah. But
But I
if
wonder, does the boyfriend listen to the podcast still? So, well,
he
yeah, I don't
does,
know.
yeah. And Jeremy
He
doesn't
does?
talk about, yeah, oh yeah. And Diego listens to the podcast, and
Yeah,
my
that's true.
fiance, and so yeah,
Yeah,
no, I mean,
you guys are lucky.
yeah. So got it.
Oh, I do have another story
Yes,
though, because
please.
over Christmas, I told you guys about this couple that I hooked up with, and it was amazing. And the vibes were everybody was into everybody. That's how it should be, basically.
Yeah,
But during this past Christmas, I hooked up with another couple,
this past
and I went
Christmas,
over.
girl, we're all about to we're on a new
I know,
Christmas.
but but listening
We
to
are
the
on the
story just
fourth
reminded me
quarter
of it.
of 2025, and you're talking about
I
this
know we're
past Christmas.
almost there.
Last Christmas, I
Send me
gave you my
presents,
heart.
y'all. Okay. But I went over to, they were here visiting, and I went over to their Airbnb or whatever, and we started to get into it. And at first, again, the one boyfriend was very much, he was into it. Then at a certain point, he started to lose his erection, to kind of withdraw a
Eiffel
little
Tower.
bit. Exactly. And the bottom guy wanted more. He wanted both of us at the same time. And the top boyfriend wasn't able to do it. So it happens a lot. Maybe they went back. I think they're still together, but maybe they went back and had a whole discussion about it because at one point I was just like, I'm just gonna nut in them and go.
I mean, that happens too, which, yeah.
so so I mean, it happens. You shouldn't beat yourselves up too much about it, but I think that when it does happen, then you have to be honest with your feelings and really express to your partner what is coming up for you, because that's the only way you can move forward.
Which was ultimately this TikToker's message in a funny way, and I'm glad he shared it. Which brings us to our next poll question. We're
Oh,
asking
mhm.
tonight, have you had a threesome go wrong? Yes, let me tell you a story is our first option, or no, guess I'm lucky. Vote away, and I'm just voting right now. I think we can vote too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm voting right now. That is our poll question. By the way, if you're listening to this when this drops tomorrow, Thursday, September 18th, you can take the same poll over on our Tags Patreon community where you get extra special, extra content. Simply go to patreon.com/tags podcast. Reference episode 700, y'all. We are celebrating tonight. Cheers, Kodi. Do you have a little
Cheers,
cocktail for
darling.
700?
Of course,
Oh,
700
look at us and
Club.
our little
Yeah.
special I love it.
Sorry, the
Okay.
anti 700 Club.
Yeah, the anti 700 Club. Thank you so much. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. I believe it is time for hot topics, and it is. We have got a slew of them. It all starts with Michigan, and Michigan Republican is introducing a bill to ban all porn, and violators could face up to 25 years in prison. Who am I talking about? This is crazy. A Michigan Republican, Josh Schreiber, really doesn't seem to have anything better to do. And we're not even talking about the age verification thing that's been going on. Michigan lawmaker proposed a bill last week banning porn. A House bill 4938 called the Anti-Corruption of Public Morals Act would prohibit the distribution of real, animated, digitally generated, written, or auditory depictions of sexual acts. And the bill breaks down the types of acts covered, including intercourse, masturbation, on and on, anything that we like on this show. And people could, if it's barely in its infantile stage, but
Mhm.
if it did go through in Michigan, you could potentially target sites that, like our site, even
Yeah.
before putting that out there. I mean, this is nuts. We are getting to sexuality. I'm working on a project right now that is celebrating sexuality, a separate project. This project that we've been doing for 8 years celebrates and has helped so many people. The idea that we're going so backwards. I mean, just before we came on live, Jimmy Kimmel is he's losing his show. Who
Girl.
knows when, just because of a comment he made in his show. Where are we headed? What do you say, Kodi?
I think it's ridiculous, and everybody should be.
It's
You mentioned Jimmy
redonkulous.
Kimmel. Redonkulous. It's completely out of this world. I never thought that in the United States of America that we would have this type of silencing of people like Jimmy Kimmel, silencing sexuality. Are we going back to Puritan days? What's going on here? I feel we are such we're in such a regressive state right now. I cannot believe it. It's unfathomable. And what else do you have to do in Michigan but jack off? That's it.
No offense to our Michigan audience,
That's a
but yeah,
joke, Michigan people.
of course, of course. No, but I mean, and heaven forbid all the Christian pastors that have violated that whole concept. And, you know, it's one of the reasons my mom left the Catholic Church and going to church, because of all of the hypocrisy that exists within the Catholic religion. And it's just pathetic.
Yeah,
But they won't silence us. And this is, and talk about such a bill trying to put that up that is going to go nowhere, hopefully nowhere for Michigan's sake. But also, that's all, with all the violence going on in the world and so many other things you could focus on. This is your one concern. Nobody has linked porn consumption to what we've currently seen, the atrocities that we've seen,
clock it.
and nobody has done that yet. So it's just leave it alone. And yeah, oh
Let us
my
have our
goodness,
porn.
let us have our porn, let us have our MTV, come on. Okay, moving on. We had to talk about this when this was a good win for us, when an Ohioan gay sued after he applied for a license plate reading gay throughout the Ohio BMD, and the plate was immediately rejected as inappropriate and invalid. He then he tried to submit other things. He even put lesbian in there. It was rejected. Queer was rejected. And he
Wow.
finally took it up in an Ohio court and he won the case. It was heard
Nice.
on Thursday in the U.S. District Court, Northern District of Ohio, Eastern Division. Judge Dan Aaron Polster dismissed the case after representatives of the BMW conceded that the BMW had erred in rejecting the vanity plates. So this is it's not a huge win, but it is a
Yeah,
win.
it's a win.
It's a win.
We got to take our wins.
I haven't driven in 17 years. So I don't think you have either. I
I
thought,
try.
I
I
thought
tried.
those glamour, what do you call those plates that when you glamour plates, or just were
Vanity plates.
vanity plates were a thing of like the 80s and 90s. But I also think this guy was pretty brave to not only have gay on his license plate, but in this climate. And that's a sad
Yeah.
statement for me to even say, because I feel like you put a target on yourself these days
Yeah.
if you did have gay on there. You were saying in our meeting that, well, what if you put anti-gay things on your plates? And it is free speech. Back
Yeah.
to Jimmy Kimmel. What do you say to this?
Um, I I was just gonna say, I think that it opens up the door for a lot, and I'm just am cautious of what else can go on those license plates, and also, like you said, what could transpire because those license plates are on this person's car. But also, something that just kind of came to me is that this is a way of making sure, standing up and fighting against the current administration. So by
Good
saying that
point.
you are loud and proud and gay, I think that this is something that could go a long way to not to show everybody that we are not scared and we're here to be prideful and make sure that our voices are heard. So I see the benefits and I see the negative drawbacks as well. So we'll see what happens. I hope that everything is okay with this person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we should probably, yeah. Let's move on. We've got to talk about, let's get into celebrity really quick. And we've been talking about Little Nas X after he was arrested on August 21st. It seems not that long ago, but it was August
Yeah.
21st when he was walking down the streets of Ventura Boulevard only in underwear and white boots, cowboy boots. I mean, he looked fabulous. It was 4 a.m. and ultimately he did seem a little bit out of it, and he did have 3 counts of battery with injury on police officers, and that's never good, especially as a
Yeah.
black man. I hate to even say that. He was
Yeah.
arrested. He was in
It's true though.
jail for the whole weekend because that was on a Thursday. I don't think he got out of jail until Monday or Tuesday. Well, now he had an album that was slated to come out like now, and
Hmm.
it is being put on hold, I think, because he was supposed to appear in court today, and he's been allowed to remain out of state actually as long as he remains in treatment. He's apparently in an in treatment facility, not really saying exactly what it is, but Billboard magazine has reported on that. I still say I hope he's getting the treatment that he really needs, and I think he's going to be okay. He gave that statement, remember, girl, that your girl's going to be okay. I really feel like
Yeah.
he's going to be okay in this situation. What do you say?
I do too. I really think that he's doing the right thing here. He's going into this treatment center. I'm googling right now if he would actually had any narcotics or anything in his system when he was
Nothing's come
arrested.
out.
Yeah, I'm not really sure, but I really hope that he is does. It looks like he's on his way to recovery, and I hope that this all is just a blip in his past. Whenever he comes out of this, and when he looks into the future, so I think he's going to be okay.
I do
He
too.
said it,
That's a
so
feeling I have. A feeling I don't have, but I'm praying for is Billy Porter. And we reported
oh yes,
that he had to leave Cabaret, the musical, after he barely got there was controversy for him even getting the role, not for Billy Porter taking on the iconic role in Cabaret here on Broadway, but because of the direction that he was going in, saying that it was black was the new, basically the direction of this versus what Jews have gone through. Okay, we
yes,
moved on from that, but he was barely in the role for a minuscule amount of time, and he had to leave because of sepsis. Sepsis is when you get an infection of some sort, and it's so severe that it starts to affect your organs. And people have called out that he is really in dire straits, emergency. And our prayers go out to
yeah.
Billy Porter at this time. And yes, that's all I got. Anything you want to add to that? That was more of like a update.
Yeah, definitely. My prayers are going out to Billy Porter. He's been an inspiration to me since I was in my teens, basically.
Yeah.
So I've looked up to him for a very, very, very long time, and I really hope he's okay.
Absolutely. Fashion Week was just here in New York City, and there were some really cool shows. Shout out to Carlton Jones, one of my friends who showed. But there was a HIV runway Fashion Week show, New York Fashion Week, entitled HIV Unwrapped, delivered a powerful message with a fierce collision of couture and science designated to shatter stigma. It was held last Saturday on the backdrop of Select 8 with a really cool AIDS Memorial quilt panel. And the HIV Unwrapped show paired emerging fashion designers from Parsons here in New York City with leading medical scientists who use the runway not only to showcase cutting edge style, but as a platform, Kodi, to confront HIV stigma head on. And we all know
Amazing.
that we are in the midst of potentially losing coverage for HIV prevention and those living with HIV. 1.7 billion has been cut from the domestic HIV prevention, and that's the current stats that we have right now. So this is like a real life thing. This once again is using, like we were talking about on episode 699, Bad Bunny, who did not want to come to the States for fear of ICE raids at outside of his concerts. This is using art in a really good way.
Yeah.
And there was everybody here at this show, including Dr. Dimitri Daskalakis, who just stepped down from his role from the NHS for working on this because of what he's seeing, and a ton of other people were at this show. The cool factor of this was that models, you didn't know exactly, some were have been living with HIV and some weren't, and that
Oh,
was the whole
wow.
point, that they didn't really want, but the fashion looked extraordinary. And how can you benefit from this? It's not just a one-off. This will premiere on Hulu on November
Oh,
30th,
wow.
the documentary ahead of World AIDS Day. So, we don't like to just talk about things that happened in the past. We want you to get involved too. Hopefully you have Hulu, and on November 30th, you can watch this. Really groundbreaking usage once again of art for our community amidst a backdrop of what we're experiencing that is threatening our health, safety, and how we live and love. What do you say to this?
I love it. I love everything about this. I think that it is so poignant to actually have the models intermingled, and so you don't know. It's such a very visible statement, and I love that they're doing this. I love that you can watch it on Hulu. I would give out my passwords, but I already have too many people on them, so I can't
I know,
I
yeah.
can't
Do
have
not give it
any
to our
more.
listening audience. You'll be like banned from
But I will.
Hulu,
I
which, by
know,
the way,
right?
isn't an ABC thing, and isn't that Jimmy Kimmel? And they're don't go
Oh,
down that
come
route.
on. I've already gotten rid of Paramount Plus. Do I have to
Oh,
do this one too?
I think we
It's
have
just every.
Paramount Plus. We'll talk after the show, right? Diego, do we have Paramount
Oh,
Plus? Well, he'll answer later. Okay.
we'll see.
Um,
We'll see. Yeah.
this okay. We had to talk about the story because it was so funny to me. We all know the emojis that we use: the eggplant emoji, the peach emoji for the ass, the eggplant emoji to signify that you want big dick or a dick. And
Hey,
there was an eggplant and peach statues. I feel like, can we get this picture to put on?
let me
Can you
see.
grab it and put it on
I can
there?
grab it.
This all happened in an East Coast town when an artist that has had these for years before the emojis, Jan Kirsch, branded out these beautiful, beautiful sculptures way before emojis ever existed, inspired by these fruits and vegetables. She recently designed a giant peach to sit out the Georgia Grace Cafe on the main street of Ellicott City, Maryland. Georgia, after all, is the peach state, so it makes sense. Kirsch also designed a large aubergine sculpture and it currently displayed on the other side of the street outside the wine bin store. Well, in recent years, the peach and eggplant, as we know, have signified what we're talking about, dick and ass. Well, they've told her that they have to pull these down in these cities because they're inappropriate, and because people have been making, I guess, jokes about it. But this is ridiculous. Once again, censorship. She never intended for that. Yes, it's a modern day phenomenon that we use the emoji for the aubergine for dick and the peach for a ass. But who cares, Kodi? What do you say to this? This is ridiculous.
Oh, it's completely ridiculous. And I think that, art can evolve, and art is something that you can't grab a hold of. It's some when you release art, you just have to allow it to be what it is. So I think that we should really just enjoy it for being a beautiful piece of artwork, and so what it is for today, because it, like I said, it changes and it grows, and I think that now it means something different, and I think it's just lovely. So we should just enjoy it.
Love
I'm
it.
trying to get this picture, by the way,
Okay,
and I
get
don't
the
know if it's
picture. I'll continue on because on episode 699, we reported on The Bold and the Beautiful, y'all, the long-standing soap opera. I actually, guilty pleasure, recorded every day. Listen, it's 15 minutes of my time. Don't judge me. But what do you watch? Anyways, The Bold and the Beautiful is introducing a gay couple, and I watched it this week. It is from two Harrison Cohn and Christian Weissman did a whole interview on working together, and I loved it. I have to say, Kodi, you can listen to when I introduced the story on The Bold and the Beautiful, introducing this gay couple, and Sebastian saying it's about time. But I have to say, it's well done. I'm intrigued. I'm into it. I think they're going to be really good. I watched it, so I'm endorsing it. Not that you all going to watch The Bold and the Beautiful, but just rest assured that your boy over here is clocking it and monitoring it, and it's done well. Do you have a picture
love
for us
it.
yet? Or
Uh,
before we
I
get into our last hot
I
topic?
literally did it for I moved it. I made it the wrong type of file. I can
Oh,
try again. Hold on one
okay.
second.
Lastly,
There we go.
the Emmys occurred, and we talked about it on episode 699, some of the winners, losers, and everything else. Corey King, who is a contestant on RuPaul's Drag Race, decided to show up on the red carpet as Michael Jackson. I wish we had that picture actually to show, but everybody look it
Oh,
up. This
wow. Okay, I
was
can get right on that.
this was ridiculous to me, and I was not a fan of Corey King. There's always a mouthy one on every. It's probably good for the show of RuPaul's Drag Race. Corey King, and who's another one that was mouthy that I didn't like?
Candy
Candy
Muse.
Muse. I don't like those types. They just rub me the wrong way. I don't want to meet them in person because I feel like an argument's going to erupt and they're volatile. I don't like those kind of people. I avoid them like the plague. Corey King's one of those, but a total miss to show up on the red carpet as Michael Jackson, like random. What were you thinking? And it looked creepy. What do you say to this? Because I know you like Corey King.
I love Corey King, and I thought it was very strange for them to show up as Michael Jackson. Because
A
when you want
miss.
to display your art, I feel like coming as Michael Jackson was something that kind of
Random.
highlighted Michael Jackson more. So I think that Corey King probably had so many more looks that they could have shared, and I think that I just think that it wasn't the right moment. I This may be one of their more popular characters because Corey King does a lot of characters on TikTok and things of that nature. So I think that this will. I just thought it was odd, and I really hope that Corey. I wish they would have picked something
It
else,
was just
something
dumb. I mean,
maybe
it was Malibu watching
Shrek.
us live says definitely a creepy vibe, mocking Michael almost. Yeah, it was because it almost gave the prosthetics and all that they did gave that creepy vibe that is Jeffrey Epstein
Oh
moment
no,
that
not Jeffrey
no, but I mean,
Epstein.
not the right vibe when if people are talking about Jeffrey Epstein, and we do not want to equate what was
Yeah.
been talked about Michael Jackson in this climate. If you liked Michael, this
Oh.
was the wrong move, I think. And his depiction of him just looked creepy too. So it made it all the worse. It was just it was wrong, Corey King, in any way. If you didn't like Michael Jackson, then you did it exactly what you wanted to do. But if you are a fan of him, it was a huge miss and conjured up the wrong things via Jeffrey Epstein that everybody is talking about right
Oh.
now. Sorry, I said it.
Okay. All right.
We love
You
giving
sure did.
advice. Yeah, did you
Oh,
have something else to
I
say?
got I got the peach picture.
Oh,
Boom.
yes. Oh my
Yes.
gosh. And those of you listening to us, go to our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/tags podcast where you can see what we're talking about. I'll also post it on our Patreon community, patreon.com/tags podcast. But aren't these beautiful pieces of art?
Yes. And I also got Corey King too. So
Glossy.
let me know when you're ready.
Yeah. No,
I've
I
been
love
working.
them. And to have people up in arms, it's just like, are you kidding me? These were created before the emojis were ever created. And just,
Yeah. Let art be art at the end of the day.
yes. What were you going to say, though? You can pull it away back.
I have Corey King too as
On
Michael
the
Jackson.
call? Oh,
Right? Can imagine? I would
okay.
live. I'd be like,
Corey
I love you.
King at the Emmys,
And it
Rando
don't even look like
Rando.
it doesn't look like Michael Jackson. It looks like John Travolta dressed as Michael Jackson.
You're right. It looks just bad plastic surgery. It's creepy. It looks like Halloween, like you're a month too early. So, like, no. If he had this with a knife in his hand for Halloween, I'd be like, oh my God, yes. But yeah, it's creepy. I hate
Not
it.
the actual sleigh. Not blood on the dance
Yeah,
floor.
I
I
hate
love
it. I
Michael.
like really hate this. Doug says, I don't see what the problem is with the statues. Okay, exactly. James says, that's creepy. Thank you. It's super creepy. See, you better check your boy over there, Corey King.
Corey, call me, girl.
Mm,
Actually,
mm.
hop on a call right now,
You better get
girl.
on management over there. Honey, you got your own career to worry about. Don't worry about her.
Right?
Bryce says,
Hello.
looks like Sammy Sosa after he bleached.
I'm not getting the
We
comments, so I'm just
needed
hearing
we
that for the
needed
first
that,
time.
right? Oh my God. It's time for giving some advice to these fools.
That was funny.
No, not fools. We love giving advice on this show. It's part of our repertoire. And tonight is no different. Which is the one that we were gonna, oh yes, exactly. How I loved this question. The question is, how soon into dating somebody should you have the discussion about exclusivity? Let me read you a little bit more. We'll discuss. What do you guys think is a preferable time frame into dating a guy to talk about what you two are and have a conversation about exclusivity? The man in question is in his early 40s, and he recently met somebody who had asked about exclusivity at a point that maybe many think is a little bit early. They met on the apps 2 weeks ago, and they've known each other in person for about 12 days. They get along really well. They have good chemistry, and we've hung out several times. It's clear he's crushing on me, and I do like spending time with him. It's going well. He's surprised me though by starting to ask what are we to each other and offering to go exclusive. This was a question that happened in my relationship, but we gave it quite a period of time and went on several dates before. When I brought it up. I love it that he's listening to it and he's cooking cooking our dinner. But I brought it up on our first getaway. So we planned a
Oh,
trip
getaway. I
and
was like, first date.
we
Oh
stayed
no.
at a mutual friend's Airbnb. beautiful upstate New York, and we had just a wonderful weekend together. That he had to take some time off, and I took, I think, a night off from the show. It was like a 3-dayer. We went to hiking. Did all that stuff, and I didn't even say it on that trip, but I said it when we got back that it felt
Okay.
right. And I said, are we exclusive? Will you be my boyfriend? And he agreed in bed during sex. But it was
That's how you
after
get
like a
them.
period of months, and
Yeah.
weeks in this case seems a little too quick. You were telling me
Well,
offline that somebody wants to even meet the parents.
no, no. Neither one of us want to meet the parents right now. I
Yeah.
think that it's way too early. I don't think I'm in the space for that either. I think that for me, I think it's when you feel that way, when you feel like, oh, this could be something that could grow. I think it's nice to have the conversation. You might not necessarily go into an exclusive relationship at that point, but just let people know what your intentions are. I think that it's never too early, actually. And I think that people may, in my previous relationship, people may have thought that we moved too fast, but I don't think so. I think that we moved at the pace where we were comfortable with, because we're the ones that are in the relationship, and nobody can tell us how to move. I was actually listening to one of my favorite John Legend songs today, and he was like, can you love me
What
quickly
was he saying?
because we he was saying, can you love me quickly because things are starting to go awry in the world, because this is the time. We gotta learn. If I am in love with you and you're in love with me, what are we even waiting for?
Yeah, I agree with you. Nobody can tell you or anybody in your sphere what to do. However, I do think, what's the rush at times? Like,
Yeah,
take the
I
time to get to know somebody before you rush into something. And it still might not work, or it still might
yeah.
work. I mean, either way, but that's typically the model that I take. Just, I'm not saying you have to. The old adage for me was something a friend said to me: get to know somebody for all the seasons. Well, we don't got time for
Hmm.
every single season, but
Right. Can we hurry up on some
maybe
seasons?
a short prime, a short Netflix season I could do, and
Mm.
a limited series, and then I could decide.
Also, you kind of hit the nail on the head. For me, love doesn't blossom if I don't know somebody. I have to know that they're a good person. I have to know their quirks. So I feel like getting to know somebody it will lend itself to loving somebody. And I feel like once you're there, I feel like that's the perfect time to have the conversation.
Love it. Okay, let us know how you feel on that. Don't forget to take our poll. We've got 2 questions tonight. If you're watching us live and you haven't voted already, take
Take
our
our
poll
polls.
questions. But don't rest assured, go to patreon.com/TAGSPodcast, where the poll continues all week long. We'll read the results next week on episode 701. Lastly, there is no straight up gay porn produced who took the best shot,
Ooh.
sadly, but we wanted to do this last advice where somebody was asking the question about doxypep. And if you know anything about doxypep, it is become the drug that can save you from getting an STI. And they write the question: I'm retired and have on occasion multiple hookups in a day with different guys. Is one dose a day okay, even though I might have 4 partners over the course of 12 hours? And what I would tell you is what Dr. Goldstein told me when I asked him, our tried and true doctor, is parse it out over, if you know you're going to be sexually active over a weekend, if Friday and Saturday are going to be, or Friday is 12 hours and you're doing it all 12 hours, good for you. But then within 48 hours to 72 hours, take the doxypap. So, but like, bunch it up is what he
Yeah.
said. Don't take it every single day. Take it after a period of long-term sexual activity. And in your case, if it was in one day, congratulations. Take it the next day or 48 hours after that is the recommended dose, according to Dr. Goldstein, who is leading practitioner on this topic. Okay, you can always, so much fun. I love
So
this.
much
And the
fun.
conversation
Yeah.
continues over on our Patreon community, but you can always follow my co host, Kodi Maurice. He's got a single out as Kodi Maurice. I don't want to fight, but you can follow him on the gram and Blue Sky at Mr. Maurice. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. Go to our website, TAGSPodcast.com. And don't forget to take our poll. And Kodi, in the meantime, thanks, live virtual audience. And in the meantime,
Yes.
continue having hot gay
Gay sex.
sex. Lovely.